My name's Ruth Hatherley and I am the founder and CEO of a company called Moneycatcha, and we have a technology platform called RegGene. I spent my entire adult life working in the industry of the financial services sector. I had 2 jobs before I started Moneycatcha, and both of them were over a decade long in large organisations in the financial services sector. And I started to realise at a very young age that I didn't like money. I liked helping people achieve their dreams. And so for me, that's what really kept me in the world of finance. It wasn't actually about the money and profit and growth. It was the fact that money enables dreams. And how could I be involved in making that happiness and that joy in people's life? Moneycatcha is our parent company, which I originally started to build and implement technologies to solve the challenge of the home loan process in the Australian market. I wanted to be able to allow people to realise their dream and move into their home faster. That was the purpose and the vision. And in fact, the vision of Moneycatcha still to this day is to connect organisations with truth. Because what I realised during all of my time working in the sector is you can have a nice B2C solution which gives the user a lovely experience and makes them feel good, but unless you actually go inside the institutions that are delivering the finance, you really can't make a difference to reducing that time frame and encouraging and I guess supporting digital transformation, which is what is required in the entire mortgage process for us to truly change the way that people will be able to procure home loans and move into their home loans faster. I think I was incredibly enthused and well supported when I first started. So my parents were very generous for me and helped fund the initial stages. I didn't raise capital initially. I put my own money in and my family's money into starting the company. I felt that I really wanted to prove that our idea had legs and that someone would buy our product. And so I funded all those early stages myself. It came at a personal stage in my life where I was involved in a lot of change. And so I was in the space both mindset-wise and physically, where I had some flexibility to try new things and grow. And so I think that was very useful for me to have the energy to keep going. My biggest challenge is that I needed to understand how to communicate that vision, that purpose, and what that medium to long-term value would be to the investors that were wanting to come along on that ride, so that they understood that there were going to be bumps in the road and that it wasn't a simple, quick turnaround. And having had no experience in that initially, that was something that had to be a quick lesson, a quick learn for me. And I think now that I've understood that, and I tried to do a lot of that on my own in the beginning, I now have a corporate advisory partner who is truly in our corner in terms of what it is we're trying to deliver and the vision that we've got. And I think having them come on board and allow me to really concentrate on that growth plan, on the strategy and executing the vision has really, I guess, opened up the possibility of the value of this company. For me, the measures of success are obviously the financial measures, your revenue and your valuation. But I think for me also sustainability and diversity and inclusion are really important as well. And I think the team that we have built over this last 12 months is one of my biggest factors for success. If I reflect on my journey, I think that Perth was a great place for me to start up. And I think that was because I had both sort of personal support, I had lifestyle support, I had financial support and resource support from a very early stage of that journey. What I didn't have at the time that you do have now is a lot of program support, so structured accelerator programs, places like Space Cubed, really focused VC and startup funding programs, programs that are designated just to female founders, programs that are designated to youth founders, so the diversity in the levels of support now in Perth is so much more comprehensive than what it was 6 years ago. And I think for me, that would be and that's the reason I hesitated at the beginning is, was it a good place for me to start up 6 years ago? It was because of my personal circumstance. Would I recommend starting up in Perth now? Absolutely, because of all the reasons that I just stated in terms of how it has matured as a community in general, and the level of support that is available for a startup in Perth is, it is comparable to anywhere else in the world. As long as you change the way you look and measure output and performance in your business, it allows people to enjoy their lifestyle more. And we have such lovely weather and such great lifestyle in Perth, then I think those two things kind of complement each other if you can do both. So what is it that you're trying to achieve? Who do you need to do that? And what funding do you need to do that? And have you got a structured plan of how you would start? You don't need to have the 5-year plan, but how do you start? And how are you going to create value straight away? So I think there's a few things there, but I think they're all equally important. I think you can't just start with a vision, and you can't just start with money. You need to be clear in terms of what is the purpose and the value that you're trying to deliver. How are you going to derive value, and what money do you need to do that? And I think that's really the level of work that you need to do before you really think seriously about going to market with your new idea. You need resilience. It is, for me, it is the biggest test of character that you could ever have in your life. The longer it goes, the more it teaches you to be humble about what you're doing. In parallel to that, you have to be also incredibly committed to the vision and the purpose that you are wanting to deliver and I guess actuate. I'm not sure that's a word, but you want to be able to bring to life. And you need to be able to surround yourself with people that are aligned to that. So I think a learning for me, one of the biggest learnings is making sure that we bring people into your inner sanctum that are truly supportive of that, and that are clearly aligned to that vision and purpose, that you have enough humility to be able to take advice on that, but that you're very aware of what are you flexible on and what are you not negotiable on, and then ensuring that support network keeps you stable during that journey. I think that sometimes we limit ourselves. We're our own worst enemy in terms of isolation. So I think when you are in that mindset of you have to go to your customers, you have to go to the talent, when you come home, you're isolated. You're there by yourself, working in your home or in your office. And I think that we become our own worst enemy in that situation. Going back to those questions you asked before about low points and high points, equally for both of those, if they happen when you happen to be here on your own and your team and your customers are elsewhere, you're either celebrating or commiserating on your own, and you can very quickly fall into the trap of isolation, and it's self-isolation. You don't need to be isolated here while you're working here if you're still needing to travel for work. And so I think for me in the early stages, that challenge was I don't have a problem with motivation and energy, but I did have the challenge of feeling isolated. And it wasn't until I had the realization that I was creating the isolation myself, that I could create my own team here, that you can come into co-working spaces, that customers are here. You just need to change. I think there's a saying, if you don't like the place you're in, change the place you're in, and that was really what you need to do virtually or physically. And I think for me that was a huge challenge to overcome, which had quite a simple answer when it was up to you to be able to change it, but it took me some time.